Hello, this is McD the Beast, and this is McD Sports 4 coming to you today with my Week 12 college football picks for the 2019 college football season. Before I continue, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Please subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate if you do that. I do have a subscriber goal of 250 subscribers, which I'd love to hit by the end of the year. So go ahead and hit that subscriber button if you're not subscribed already. Greatly appreciate if you do that. So the way this works, if you have not watched one of these before, is that I pick 20 games each week. I break up into 5 categories. I pick against the spread and straight up all 20 games. Um, so overall, I am 135 and 85 this year against the spread. I finally had a good week in the spread last week. I went 11 and 9 overall and against the spread last week. Now I'm 103 and 117 against the spread. First 10 games I call the straight up category, basically games that I pick no matter what usually, even if I was picking games. And in the straight up category, I'm 78 and 36. In my locks of the week, which is the 11 through 15 games you're going to see on the third slide here, those are my 5 locks of the week that basically I think those 5 teams will win no matter what. 37 and 19, and then I pick 5 upsets each week. For it to be considered an upset, they have to be at least a 3-point underdog, and I'm 20 and 34 when picking upsets this week. All these spreads are from BetNow.eu, and they're locked in between 10 and 10:30 approximately, probably like 10:20 if you want an exact timestamp. So that's where I got these spread picks from. So these spread picks are about a few hours old by the time you guys see this video, which is probably going to be, it's 1:37 right now. Probably you're going to see this video at about 3 o'clock. So let's get into it. 20 games here. I try to pick a game for each conference to show, just to represent each conference basically. So let's get into it. First game kicking off here, a Conference USA game. Louisiana Tech versus Marshall. One of the 2 weekday games I'm picking this week. Marshall is a 2.5-point favorite at home. This is a big game here in the Conference USA. Louisiana Tech, some people have them in the top 25. I do not blame them. It's just that I thought that resume was a bit weak. But Louisiana Tech, they're a 2.5-point underdog. I went back and forth with this one. I'm going to say Marshall gets the win. I like this Marshall team a lot. I've watched them probably 3 or 4 times this year since they seem to be always playing on weeknights. I like this Marshall team. I really do. Louisiana Tech's a good team as well. This is probably the second toughest game here for Louisiana Tech. We're going to see how battle tested they are with the only loss coming up against Texas. More in Texas here in a second. But I'm going to go with Marshall here, kind of a low-scoring game, 23-20 Marshall. I don't know if Marshall was the better team per se, but I'm going to say they win and cover. I like this Marshall team. I really do. So 23-20 Marshall. Now to some Saturday games. A lot of new games in this slate this week in my pick'ems. Wisconsin versus Nebraska. Wisconsin is a 14.5-point favorite on the road. Nebraska is a team that I think can cover the spread, but I am picking Wisconsin to win and cover. I just cannot pick Nebraska to do anything right now. Wisconsin, to me, is a much better team than Nebraska. Nebraska might lose out. We'll see what happens. They have games coming up against, after this one, Maryland and Iowa, and that Maryland game is on the road, so we'll see what happens there. That's going to be their last shot probably for a win, and they're going to have to probably win this one if they even want a shot at bowl contention at this point. I don't think it happens. I like Wisconsin to win this one 31-7. I think this one is going to be a complete domination game, and I expect Jonathan Taylor to have a good day against this Nebraska defense. Give me the Badgers here, 31-7. Next game, Florida versus Missouri. The first game here on CBS is doubleheader. Since they do a doubleheader usually this time of year for the SEC. Missouri is a 7-point underdog at home. I'm tempted to pick Missouri in this one, but I just can't. I don't have any faith in Missouri. I mean, they lost to Vandy and Wyoming. More Wyoming here in a second, but they lost to those 2 teams. They got absolutely dominated by a Kentucky team that I don't think is that good. But then they turn around and beat the brakes off of teams like South Carolina. Who else did they beat? They beat someone else, Ole Miss. So overall, I mean, I just can't go with Missouri. I know the game's in Columbia. I gotta go Florida here to win and cover. I think Florida wins this game by about 2 touchdowns. I like Florida in this one to win. I have it 34-20. Florida. I just think Florida is the better team. I know Missouri has a 3-game winning streak against Florida, but I think it ends this Saturday on CBS. Give me the Florida Gators on the road against Missouri to win and cover 34-20. Next game, Michigan State versus Michigan. This is your big noon kickoff game here. Michigan, a 13.5-point favorite at home. I'm going to go with Michigan. I'm going to have faith in them. I'm really not high on this Michigan State team. I think they have a great defense, but the offense is abysmal. 13.5 is a good number to bet on, just under 2 touchdowns. I'm going to say Michigan wins this one by 2 touchdowns. I like Michigan to go ahead, get the win here. I like it. I like Michigan to go ahead and get the win here, obviously. 24-10, Michigan, this one. It's in the big house. I just think Michigan's the better team. Michigan State, they have a pretty good defense, but at the end, I just think that Sparty's offense isn't good enough. I like Michigan by 2 touchdowns, 24-10. Next game, Navy Notre Dame. If you saw my preview for this one, go check it out on the McD Sports 4 YouTube channel. I preview all the top 25 matchups, and this is a top 25 matchup. And if you saw the preview for that one, you already know who I picked in that one. Same score as the Michigan State-Michigan game, 24-10 Notre Dame, which means they cover as well, Notre Dame does. I just think Notre Dame's the better team. If you really want to see my thoughts, though, on this game, go check out that video. Most of my thoughts on this game is on that video. So here are the next 5 games. Wake Forest versus Clemson. Clemson's a 34.5-point favorite at home. I think Clemson definitely wins this one. The question is, do they cover? That's a very large number. Wake Forest has an offense that I think can backdoor cover the spread. I'm going to say that Clemson does not cover that 34.5-point spread, but they do win at the end by 4 touchdowns. I like Clemson in this one. I do like them to win this game. I like them to win 59-31. I do think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. A lot of points here in garbage time, especially. I think Clemson probably jumps out like 28-7. But I think there's going to be a lot of points scored here in garbage time. And Wake Forest will get a backdoor cover. I think it'll be kind of a shootout, but Clemson will still have the blowout. 59-31 Clemson. And I know last year was 63-3. Wake Forest is a better team than they were last year. So that's why I have them scoring 31 on Clemson, but Clemson scores 59. Next game, Georgia versus Auburn. If you want to see my thoughts on this game, go check out the preview. But I do have Georgia winning this game. They're a 2.5-point favorite. I do have them covering as well, 16-10 Georgia. If you want to see my thoughts though on this game, go check out that preview. Next game, Central Michigan versus Ball State. In my opinion, the MAC football game of the week right here. Ball State, a 2.5-point favorite at home. I'm gonna go with Ball State to win and cover. Central Michigan, I mean, they're an okay team in the MAC, but Ball State has really been a pleasant surprise this year in the MAC. I like Ball State to go ahead and win this one, to win and cover. I'm gonna say they win this one by a touchdown, 27-20. Central Michigan is not a bad team, but Ball State I think is a bit better, especially at home. Next game, Minnesota versus Iowa. If you saw my preview on this one, I posted it late last night, so most of you might have not gotten the chance to see it. But I did pick Iowa to win this game. I had it by a field goal, which means they cover that as well. 23-20 Iowa is the score I have. But if you want to see my thoughts on that on this game, go ahead and check out that preview on my YouTube channel, McD Sports 4. Four previews. I already mentioned 3 of them. I'll mention the other one here because I did something that I normally don't do in the upset category. LSU versus Ole Miss is the last game in the straight-up category. Ole Miss is a 21-point underdog. That should be a plus sign, not a minus sign. My apologies on that. LSU's a 21-point favorite. That should be a plus sign. That's my fault with the typo. I usually always have a typo too in these videos. I gotta do better than that, especially next season. But I think LSU's gonna win and cover. There's a pause on the thought of maybe Ole Miss maybe only winning this game or only losing this game by 2 touchdowns because LSU's gonna win this game no matter what. I think there's zero chance that Ole Miss wins this game. I think Ole Miss is one of your worst teams in the SEC personally. That defense is god awful. I know they only gave up 3 to New Mexico State, but that is the worst team in college football, New Mexico State. So I think LSU goes into Oxford and gets the win here. I have it by 4 touchdowns. I think LSU goes ahead and wins this one 45-17. I can see LSU maybe getting off to a bit of a slow start, but at the end, I gotta go LSU to win and cover here. They're just a much better team than Ole Miss. And by the way, and that's supposed to be plus 21 Ole Miss, not minus 21 Ole Miss. Sorry for the typo. Now here are my 5 locks of the week right here. So here you go. Indiana versus Penn State. Penn State is a 14.5-point favorite at home. I'm going to take Penn State win and cover here. I'm pretty confident in this one. I thought this was a game I'll possibly had to do a preview on. I do have Indiana number 25 in my poll, in the Big D Source 4 poll, which you could have saw Tuesday before the rankings yesterday. But I'm going to say Penn State wins this one. I think Indiana is a physical team. They'll keep it competitive. But at the end, I got to go Penn State here. I do like Penn State to win this one 33-16, so a 17-point win at home for the Nittany Lions. But it would not surprise me if Indiana does cover that spread, but I gotta go Penn State here. Next game here in the Sun Belt, Coastal Carolina versus Arkansas State. Arkansas State, 12.5-point favorite. I think they win and cover as well. I'm going to say they win by 2 touchdowns, 35-21 Arkansas State. Coastal Carolina, not a terrible team, but probably in the bottom half of the Sun Belt. Arkansas State, kind of middle of the road team there in the Sun Belt, but the game is at Arkansas State in Jonesboro, so that's why I'm going to go with Arkansas State to win, and I'm going to have them covering as well, 2 touchdown win, 35-21. Next game, Texas versus Iowa State. I'm going to say Iowa State wins and covers here. I might be a bit bold saying that, but I'm going personally. I think that Iowa State is a bit underrated. Texas a bit overrated. I'm gonna say Iowa State gets the win here and covers and wins this one by 2 touchdowns. Zen Ames, tough place to play. I do like Iowa State to go ahead and get the win here. I do have it 38-28. Iowa State, a 10-point win for the Cyclones over the Longhorns. So give me Iowa State. They should have won that game against Oklahoma last week. They came very close. But overall, give me Iowa State here to win and cover this 7-point spread here. I have them winning 38-28. Next game, Appalachian State versus Georgia State. Georgia State is a 16.5-point underdog. I do think Appalachian State wins and covers here. That number is right below 17. I like that a lot. I am going to take Appalachian State, however, by 20 points. 40-20 Appalachian State. Listen, Appalachian State's a ranked team. They're ranked 25 in the college football playoff rankings, 24 in my poll. They're a pretty good team. They upset South Carolina last week. Thank you, Appalachian State, for doing that. And they upset North Carolina earlier in the season. I'm going to go ahead and say they win this one by 20 points, 40-20 Appalachian State. Georgia State's not a bad team. They're actually already bowl eligible, including a big win over Tennessee. But Appalachian State, I think, is just a completely it's just a different animal. And then the last lock of the week, UCLA versus Utah. I consider throwing this in the straight category, but I'm going to say Utah wins this one by 24 over UCLA, and I'm going to say actually 23. Excuse me, 30-7 Utah in this one. UCLA, I mean, they're a bit better this year, but Utah, I think, at this point, they're going to try to blow out every one of their opponents or dominate every one of their opponents so they have a chance at the college football playoffs. So give me Utah in this one by 23, 30-7 Utah. Now, here are my 5 upsets of the week right here. 5 upsets. I actually already put money on 2 of these. I'll tell you which ones I put money on. By the way, do not take my betting advice. But North Carolina versus Pitt. North Carolina is a 4-point underdog on the road against Pitt. I think North Carolina can win this one. All their games have been very close this year. The biggest margin they lost by was 7 against Virginia. So I think North Carolina is a team. I mean, they are a very competitive team, probably the best 4-5 team I've ever seen. I think they get a huge win here on the road against Pitt. Try and keep the bowl hopes alive, but maybe playing a bit desperate. Pitt is a team that's 6-3 already, and they are still trying to fight for that ACC Coastal. But overall, North Carolina, I like this North Carolina team a lot. Give me the Tar Heels +4. I'm going to say they win this one by a field goal, 27-24, Tar Heels. Next game, Tulane versus Temple, and this is one of the two games I already threw some money on. Just small amounts, like not even $5. Um, Tulane versus Temple. I'm taking Temple +6, and I'm taking them to win outright. Temple has been a team this year for me. I picked them in this category twice for them to pull off some upsets, and they've done it. Tulane is a team that I think could be subject to a possible blowouts. For example, against a team like Memphis, they got blown out against. Temple is a team that I personally think is being very underrated. I think this is grossly underrating Temple with this spread. I'm going to take Temple and win it outright. I say they win this one by actually 10 points. Give me Temple in this one to win 45-35. Temple Owls. Go Owls. Next game here, Wyoming versus Utah State. Wyoming is a 6.5-point underdog on the road. I want to take Wyoming here. Maybe a bit of a stretch, but Utah State is one of those teams. They're not that good defensively. You look at Wyoming, they're a very physical team. I'm going to say Wyoming wins this one by a late field goal. I like how they played last week against Boise State a lot. Give me Wyoming in this one to cover and win this one outright. I think they win outright here. I like Wyoming to win this one 24-21 Cowboys. Next game, and I usually don't do this. I usually don't pick a game I already preview or a top 25 matchup in the upset category or the lock category. But I did here because I needed a fifth upset. I think Baylor's going to win this game outright. +10, I'm taking Baylor. I threw some money on that game once I saw the spread because I thought the spread was only going to be 3 or 4 points. So once I saw +10, I was like, I had to throw money on that game. Give me Baylor win this one 38-33 over the Sooners. I'm taking the Bears. I think this Bears team is legit. I think the last two games against West Virginia and TCU, I know they're not all world beaters. Those two teams, I know they're covering around 500, and even West Virginia is probably not going to go to a bowl game this year. But those were physical games that Baylor won, and they won in the trenches. So I think Oklahoma is a team. I think Oklahoma could lose 2 other games this year. This one, I think they could lose that last game against Oklahoma State. So I think Oklahoma's in some serious trouble. I like the Bears 38-33. If you want to see my thoughts on this game, go check out the preview on the McD Sports 4 YouTube channel if you want more of an intel on this game. And then the last game, I'm going to keep it warm with Cal here. They won me a pick last week. USC versus Cal. Cal's a 7-point underdog at home. I'm going to say Cal wins this one. USC, a lot of uncertainty there with the new AD. Clay Helton's probably out of a job at the end of the season. I think Cal gets the win in kind of a low-scoring matchup, 21-19. I'm going to take Cal by 2 points. I'm going to say they win and cover. I like this Golden Bears team last week. I like them this week as well. And the upset, give me the California Golden Bears, 21-19 over the Trojans. So those are my picks for Week 12. Comment down below. Tell me your picks. Tell me any games that I did not pick that you want me to pick. Be more than happy to do that. Thanks for watching. Hit that thumbs up button. Please subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate if you do that. Thanks for watching. McD the Beast here, signing off.